Hey yo, we back again.
Okay.
Where we gonna go on this time, babe?
We're talking about manifestation again. We're here for it.
Manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, we're tapping the manifestation and spirituality a little bit.
Yep.
So you hear people talking about manifesting all the time. I'm gonna manifest this or I'm gonna manifest that, but people don't really understand like what it is to manifest something. So should I elaborate a little bit?
I think so. I think a lot of it is speaking things into existence, but there's so much that goes to that.
Yeah, it's
It's
like
like changing your mental pathways.
right.
Yeah.
So we can start from the beginning. So we spoke on like speaking positive a little bit before in one of our other videos. When it comes to speaking positive, you know somebody that's real positive. They didn't just wake up one day and just become high on life. It takes practice. And a lot of the times the people that are the most positive then been through some of the worst situations that forced them to be like, you know what? I done dealt with so much bad, thinking bad and speaking bad has benefited me in no type of way, no way,
Mm-hmm.
shape, or form. So
Right.
I might as well speak positive. And some of the time, speaking positive showed them a different result. So it's like, all right, well, if I keep doing this over and over again and it's not working and I'm trying this and it's giving me a different result, then let me try this.
Yep.
And you find yourself in more situations being like, well, it could be like this, or maybe things can go this way. You're giving yourself more of a chance of something good happening by speaking or, like they say, manifesting these things. And
Mm-hmm.
manifestation comes into, for one thing, is what you think about and what you speak. So if you constantly are thinking about worst case scenarios or you're thinking about the stuff you don't like, the stuff you can't stand, you start to notice this is what you come around.
Mm-hmm.
An example people use is like when you know somebody that just got a new car. So in your mind, oh, okay, this person just got the new red Honda Accord. The next thing you know what happened when you're driving?
You start noticing them all the time.
All the time. You
Mm-hmm.
start coming, oh, there go one right there because it's something in your subconscious that you start to see in reality.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same thing when you think about positive outcomes, you start to notice these situations in your life like, oh man, I was just talking about such and such and now they didn't just call me. A
Yep.
minute later you start to notice little patterns like that and it becomes something you practice.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to talk about the book that I ordered us?
Project 369. Oh, it's such a good book. It really just talks about all about energy and
Yeah.
things like that. And I wanted to say something. Energy is magnetic. Like
Yeah.
the universe and things, they can't tell a difference from what you're saying. So if you say something and you're speaking something like, okay, I'm going to get this job,
Right.
then that's what's going to happen. You're going to get that job.
Yeah.
Versus saying, oh, I might, or I hope, it doesn't come with the same confidence. You have to say it
Yeah.
like you already have it.
Right. Because hope, you don't say, I hope I'm going to pay my bills. I'm going to pay my bills on the first. Like, that's, you're not about to just hope and not say that with conviction and confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Side note, we're not getting sponsored by the book, but the book was so dope.
Yeah.
This is what it looked like, Project 369. And it basically fills in the blanks or gives you a little more detail on like what it is to manifest. Something
Mm-hmm.
cool that we had read, it talked about, so for instance, it's two ways to use something when you manifest. It's the way to make it work and the way to make it not work. So if
Mm-hmm.
you say, I'm gonna have a great day today, but at the same time you're like, maybe or
Maybe.
hopefully I have a
Yeah.
good day. Basically you put something out there and then you snatch it right back.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how you manifest something. Manifesting is when you speak something with conviction and you truly believe what you say. Today,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what happened. I'm not going to let nobody ruin my day. Today is going to be a good day.
Yep.
And you meant that and you standing on that. That's how you create things. It's not so much being positive when things going good, is when things are not always looking good and still being like, I'm going to figure this out.
Yep. Because at the end of the day, everything goes your way, even if you don't see it in that moment.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was meant for
Yeah.
you. You ever lost a job or something terrible in the moment, but something else may have happened right after that to where you off work the next day and you get a call for an interview, which if you was at the job you didn't just lose, you wouldn't have been able to work that out. Like
Yeah.
that's what that means when things always go your way, even when it feel like it's not.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember that one time we were trying to leave your mom's house and for some reason we could not get out of his mom's house like on time, and we
Uh-huh.
were we were all just like, maybe it's for a reason. I really feel
Yeah.
that way about those kinds of instances. Like
Yeah.
maybe if we would have left at the time that we wanted to and been on time, we would have gotten into a car accident or
Yeah,
something.
like something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
woke up late for work or something. Maybe you wasn't supposed to be on the road at that time.
Right.
You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe you think about like you run into a complete stranger and you may have said something so small that uplifted this person's whole mood, all because you left the house at 8:05 instead of 8 o'clock like usual, and you
Yeah.
having to bump into this person at the right time, or you might have met the right person and they inspired you. That's just the way the life works sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Things always go the way it's supposed to go.
I agree. I think we should read like a little snippet from the book.
Okay, so
So basically, the book talks about manifesting, and then towards like the middle of the book, it's like you read it, and then towards the middle of the book, you start being able to journal.
yeah, that's the important part. It's like so when you manifest things is one thing, and then there's a shortcut of speeding things up. If you don't believe so, just try it for yourself, because when I first learned about manifesting, this was my cousin hit me up telling me about, I want to say it was called The Secret. It was on Netflix at the time. I don't know if it still is, but The Secret talked about how to make shortcuts to basically getting what you want in life. Like instead of just sitting around waiting and hoping like we've been kind of taught to do, it teaches you to speak things into existence. And I'm like, well, what I got to lose? Because things ain't exactly going how I want it to go in life right now. So how about I just get it to try, and it start working. And so 369 talks about you write something down with conviction. I'm going to get this job. Be specific. I'm going to get this job by next week, next Tuesday.
Right.
3 times in the morning. You write it 6 times in the afternoon, 9 times before bed. That's a whole
And you've
different.
been doing this how long?
For probably a couple years now.
Probably about a year.
It was before we moved down here.
Oh, so like
yeah.
a year and a half. Yeah, because it was
We've been
back
here a
when we were
year.
in Pittsburgh. Yeah, so probably like 2 years you've been doing it.
Yep. I was at Matt Machine when I first started doing that. That was
Yeah.
2020, 2021. So,
We
yeah.
had Post-its all over every one of our houses.
Yep. Everything I was trying to do when I was trying to pass my exam, and I'm studying for it, and I'm writing that down before we moved to Georgia. I will find a job in Atlanta when we get down there, like things like that. And it's a
Yeah.
whole different science on the 369, and that the book explains that. You can look up YouTube videos on how that works along with the universe, but that's something that I highly suggest. If you feel like you ain't got nothing to lose and you done tried everything, like try this, and I guarantee you something is gonna work.
Yeah. I'm just going to read a couple of the titles from it, but it talks about like what is manifestation, what is faith, having conscious rejuvenation, conscious reflection, and I think with all of these like manifesting and spiritual books, it always talks about being conscious, like in the moment.
Yeah.
Even with The Power of Now, that's another good book, but The Power of Now talked about being in the moment and being conscious of your own actions and conscious of self and being. So why you're feeling the way that you're feeling at all times. So if something like triggers you, instead of just purely just being triggered by that thing, thinking about why you're triggered by that and allowing yourself to feel the emotion but not being overcome by the emotion.
Right, like observing your thoughts
Yes.
from a subconscious
Exactly.
point of view.
Right.
Yeah.
And it talks about awareness of being, like 3D experience and stuff. That's things we could talk about probably in a different video.
Yeah.
But building a relationship with yourself and being the energy that you want to attract. So
Yeah, most importantly.
yeah, I think that is very important. If you want to become something, then imagine that you are already that.
Yeah, that's something very important in the book. So when you speaking into the future, like I want to have such and such, the key is to not say I'm going to have it then. You claim it today, right now, instead of saying I will be successful. I'm successful. I am successful. I am wealthy.
Yep.
I'm happy. Claim the things that you want right now. I have this now, and that's kind of like a shortcut to getting the things you want in life.
And the crazy thing is, the more that you see it, speak it, and think it, the more it becomes. So it's like changing the pathways in your brain. Instead of going along the pathways of thinking, I can't, I won't, like you're now going through the pathways of I am, I can, I will, I do.
Yeah.
And you do that day after day, and you become like a different person, because instead of thinking such it's almost like depressive thoughts, and it's a it's
like a self-harm type of thing.
I was gonna say self-harm, but that's not the word that I want. But self-destructive.
Yeah.
Yeah, self-destructive thoughts. So you're, instead of thinking like that, now you're thinking more successful thoughts and who you are, and keep going along those pathways, and it changes your everyday.
Yeah, and it attracts different things to you. And most people would never go to a Rolls Royce lot or a Lamborghini lot or a Porsche lot if they don't have the money to buy one.
Yep.
And you creating a reality. People say, "Oh, I'll never have that." Well, you just told every molecule and everything in your body and everything in the universe that you cannot do something. So you creating a reality of you never being able to do that. Why not tell yourself, I'm gonna figure out how to afford that instead of I can't afford that.
Yeah.
And the book even talks about surrounding yourself with similar energy. So if you want to be successful, hang out or mingle with successful people. You see a successful person out in public, start a conversation with them. Get business cards. Go to, look at nice neighborhoods that you may not have the money to afford right there at the time.
Yeah.
Go to look at these luxury cars. Surround yourself with
Yes.
that type of energy. And next thing you know, you find yourself in these situations where you might have an associate or a friend that's a millionaire just because you started to hang and think about these type of things.
Even looking at parts of our life, it's like wild thinking how we got here sometimes.
Right.
Even with something small like that, well, I guess it's not small, but like even this house, we weren't originally going to look at it because it was way out of our price range. Like it was way out of our price range, and for some reason I just kept looking at it every day, and I did it without him knowing. Like he did not know I was looking at this house every day, but I was looking at the house every day online. And then I told my realtor, like, the one day it had been sitting on the market for like a month, and I'm like, man, I'm about to just offer the amount that I want to offer. Like, I'm about to just offer that. And so I go and I look at the house one more time. Don't you know they took it down to the same exact amount that I was going to offer? And they took it down that day that I was going to message my realtor, because I had just looked at the house the day before and it was still high.
Yeah.
Then the next day I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? So I immediately texted him, like, put in the offer now.
Yep. And even like the whole process of the house, on how we went house hunting.
Man.
We said from the beginning, like, it's going to go smooth.
Yeah.
We never have signed up to buy a house or nothing like that before. We moved to a new place. We in a whole new state. But
I'm a travel nurse, so anybody who's a travel nurse out there knows that it's hard to get loans if you're a travel nurse.
Yep.
Because it shows like your pay isn't consistent, basically, because you're a contracted employee. So all my travel nurse friends were telling me how hard it is to get a loan and how hard the home buying process is.
Like, it's impossible. And then we moved down here. I had my gym job, and then I started my manufacturing, my CNC job, but I had to go through the temp service. We got hired on permanently right before it was time to get everything started with the house.
Yep.
Like, I got everything finalized just in the nick of time.
Literally in the nick of time.
So both people can sign up and be a part of this house. Like, everything fell into place. How many days did we go look at houses? One day.
People think that we're crazy, but we went and looked.
One day we looked at 3 places, and this
This
place was the third place, and it was just like.
And when we left here, I knew he was like immediately thinking in his head, like, okay, yeah, it's not going to be this one. But
yeah, because it was like, this is nice.
It was way out of our price range. Yeah.
And the other one we wanted ended up not working, but it was like, regardless, we're not.
Somebody else got it.
Yep.
Somebody else got it, and we were like going back and forth, like trying to like outbid them and stuff. And then finally, we were just like, man, forget it. Like, for some reason, this one's just not for us.
Right.
And I wasn't completely in love with the place. I liked it as a first starter home, but I really liked this place.
Yep. And it worked out all because it's like everything is gonna go as planned. The closing costs worked out.
They paid the closing costs. Yeah.
Everything that most people that don't believe in manifesting things would say, that's impossible. That's not.
Even the people that we sat down with, remember, they were like, you went for one day? We were like, yep.
Yep. And people think it's crazy when you say stuff like that because we've been conditioned to not be confident people, but
Yep.
you can create whatever life you want. So what?
We had the smoothest realtor. Like, he
Yep.
made everything so easy for us.
Yeah.
And then even our loan officer, like, she was super easy to work with. And
Yeah.
we, from the start, like, of us looking
Mm-hmm.
and us starting the home buying process and then us finalizing and closing, it took, what, a month?
Yeah, about a month, start to finish, and then
Start to finish, it took a month. It was
that
over.
was it.
It went so fast that it blew our minds. We were literally looking at each other like, is that it?
Yep. And that's the power. Like, when you manifest things, like, don't just take our word for it. Try it for yourself, and remember, speak positive, and don't give yourself that chance to be like, it ain't gonna work. Or if you are like that, remind yourself that telling yourself it ain't gonna work is gonna give you those results. And it really helps when you learn how to speak into existence the thing you really want in life.
Definitely.
And
And I think that people are constantly ignoring signs from the universe.
yeah, you constantly are getting reminders that you can do stuff, and it's like, oh, I can't do it.
Yes.
But you done surprise yourself a million times throughout life, but life will make you forget about that sometimes.
Most definitely. Like,
Yeah.
my mom would always talk about how she would see numbers all the time, and how she could ignore. She would always see the number 3, like, all the time. 3,
Yeah.
3, 3, 3, and she couldn't ignore it anymore. Like, it was like in her face every day. Like, she'd go
Yeah.
to the grocery store and she'd leave, and it would be $33.03, or
Yeah.
she'd look at her bank account and it'd be $333. Like,
Yeah,
there was just
stuff like
always threes.
Oh, what time is it? It's 3:33. Like,
Yep.
after a while, you can't ignore it. Yeah.
I think she was actually telling somebody that story before, how she kept seeing threes. And then the girl that she was telling it to, her name's Patricia, but she was telling Patricia about it, and Patricia was like, okay, Abby, don't freak out, but look what time it is. And it was 3:33.
Like, stuff like that, it really happens. Like, it's a real thing.
And people don't believe in numerology and astrology and,
Right.
things like that, but whenever you look it up, everything makes so much sense. Like, whenever we say, oh, it must be a full moon tonight because people are acting crazy,
Yeah.
there's a reason we say that. It's because the moon really does have an effect on our body. Our bodies
Yeah.
are made up of mostly water.
Right.
Okay, it's like 70% water or something like that.
Yeah, the earth
So-
is mostly water. Like, everything
Yes.
everything in life is connected.
Right, and the moon has an effect on the tides, and the tides, it's water. You know what I mean? So
Right.
why wouldn't it have an effect on humans if we're made up of mostly water?
Yeah, and that's a deep topic to get into.
It is a deep topic.
But if this is new information for you, like, we're not saying to just believe whatever you hear, but see for yourself and see if it makes sense.
Yeah.
And either it does or it doesn't.
Yeah.
But look at things from an unbiased standpoint. Don't
Right.
go off of, well, I've always been taught this, because that's how we kind of tend to be as humans. Whatever we always been told is right. And if it is something you haven't heard before, it's wrong. But look at both sides, because you don't know. Remember, it was a chart. It was like a small percentage was things you know. It was a bigger percentage of things you don't know. And there was this big margin of things you don't know.
Yeah.
And that's life. It's so much stuff.
You don't know what you don't know.
Right. There's a lot of things you don't even know yet.
Yeah.
You don't even know that you are missing that information until you look for it or hear about
Oh
it.
my God. And then once those doors become open, it's like it opens more doors, and it's just like
Yep.
never ending of things that we don't know about. You know what I mean? You do just end up becoming comfortable with that kind of, but
Yeah.
most of us are raised up in like a religion or something, and
Yeah.
we're just taught what their perspective of the Bible is.
Yeah.
So whatever religion or denomination that you're with, whatever they're saying that the Bible is saying, that's what we believe.
Right,
You know, but
because-
to do your own research and to read it yourself, you start picking up on other things.
Yeah, you have to be open-minded, and it's all right for everybody to have different opinions, but don't tell somebody their opinion is wrong until you go through the steps that they went through to get to where they at, to have an understanding. That's the whole purpose of life, because it's all about divide and conquer. You divide everybody, put everybody in different beliefs, different classes of wealth, and it just separates everybody that's really the same. You put invisible
Yes.
lines on countries,
Invisible lines.
land pieces of land. You take
The
this piece of land,
borders.
yeah, like you take a piece of land this all the same. You put an invisible line in it, now it's the difference. During reality, it's the exact same.
Yes.
Yeah, so
True.
So dig in. But yeah, this is like a reaction to Project 369. And it's a good book.
We're going to have to do a real reaction to this because
Yeah.
we didn't get to talk about any of it. Really.
It's a lot to go through.
There is a lot to go through. But here, let's just show them at least one of the pages.
Like that. So to ask you on the journal part, in the beginning it'll have a few questions like I am, and you just writing things in. I am wealthy, I am thankful, I am whatever you're feeling at the time. And then it'll ask you for the morning 3 things you want to write down.
Yep.
How do you visualize it as reality? You write down how you visualize that. And then what was the last part? The last part was what inspired actions will you take to attract it? And that's your journal for the morning, and then your 6 times in the afternoon, 9 times at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I like what this says. Ask for what you want and be prepared to get it.
Yep, and be specific.
Yeah, you got to be specific about it.
Yeah, so we'll come back through with more details on the book because it's a real good book. But this is kind of how manifesting works and getting the things you want in life.
Yeah.
And that's all. We'll catch you on the next one. We're probably diving into the book on the next one just because there's a lot of information on there.
Most definitely.
So subscribe, get us up to that 1,000 in no time.
And see you in the next video.
See you on the next one.